Hi, I'm Dr. Steve Rittner of the Rittner Floral School in Boston, Mass. It's a pleasure to welcome you into one of our classrooms today. We've got a neat little program for you. The subject, back to school. Back to school, yes. It's associated with all kinds of things. When we think back to school, what do we think of? Well, we think of books. We think of getting binders, paper, and all the various paraphernalia that you need to go back to school. Getting yourself a laptop computer or tablet. We think in terms of all kinds of things associated with back to school. But one symbol that's been with us for hundreds of years, and it's an interesting one, is the symbol of the apple. Yes, the apple. An apple for the teacher. Where did it come from? Why do we have that association? Some believe it goes back to the book of Genesis, Eve giving the fruit of knowledge from the tree. One can argue whether that was an apple or not, but the bottom line is that many people have traditionally associated it as such. And then there's the concept that apples have been a traditional gift for teachers, not only in the United States, but also even in some of the Scandinavian countries over in Europe. So that there's a tradition of giving apples to teachers as kind of a nice way to start the year. We thought it would be fun in this video to take this concept of the apple and play with it in our floral art to come up with some interesting results. And I think you guys are really going to enjoy this because we have some very, very neat things. Our staff has been working very, very hard to come up with some cool ideas for you, and I think you're going to really, really enjoy it. Let's start with the design over here on the right, and we'll just pull this right into the center and feature this one for a second. The concept here is we have essentially a coffee mug. It's a cute little coffee mug, and it's in kind of fall colors and the kind of orangey red and brown colors that we associate with the fall. We have in this coffee mug, of course, our apples that are shown here. We have a lovely hydrangea placed over here, a few spray roses, and a lovely piece of solidago. Very quick, very easy, very simple. It's a nice little design for teacher, and the concept behind this particular design is that when teacher gets through enjoying the design, she or he also has a little keepsake. In other words, they have the actual mug itself that they can later use and enjoy. They can wash it, clean it, and use it, and have it as a little keepsake of a nice kind of memory. So that's a nice way to start off our journey of apples for the teacher. Let's see what else we can come up with. Well, you notice this one. This is another simple little design that works very, very well as an apple for the teacher kind of design. In this particular case, we're making use of a novelty container. A novelty container. I love these novelty containers. It says, "I love my teacher." It's got a little kind of drawing over here simulating a blackboard. And in it we have a few glad tips. Very, very quick to do. One here, there, and there. A few little crab apples in the middle. Little tiny things. We could substitute berries in this case if we didn't want to use little crab apples, but I think it's a kind of cute idea. Or we could just simply take an apple or two and place it in the center. Quick, easy, gets across the idea of apples for the teachers very, very nicely indeed. Let's see some other ideas that we have in terms of this motif. Here's a nice one. I think you guys are going to really enjoy this one. This one is a little bit more contemporary. You'll notice that we started with some ideas that were a little bit more what I would call traditional or classical in feeling, but now we're going to our glassware. And notice that in this particular case, on our glassware, we have some of the very, very neat wire collars worked in here that have wire and some pearls built in. We have our apples right here in the center as a focal point. So we're definitely getting across the concept of apple for the teacher. You can see it very, very nicely here. And then a few spray roses worked in here as well. One over here, little stem here and a little stem here to come up with our concept. It's quick, it's easy again, it's a fun little idea, and it gets across this symbolic ideal of apples for the teacher. I think you can see that we can play with these symbolic ideas like apples and come up with really some interesting variations on them. Let's go to something a little bit bigger, a little bit more ornate now, and to do that, let's put this here, and I'm going to move this one slightly to one side. Here's another example of apples for the teacher. Isn't this gorgeous? It's really, really pretty. It's a nice design, very interesting design. When we look at it, again, we have a seasonal kind of container. It's an orange ceramic container that's really pretty pot. And we have here glads here and over here. The gladiola is an amazing flower that has really been underutilized for so many things we can do with it. It comes in so many colors, and look at this one. This one happens to have both yellow and a little touch of red to red-orange in the center. It's absolutely amazing, and it gives us height and also dimension on this design very, very quickly. And then, of course, we have our symbol of our apples worked in here and here. We also have a rose as a focal point, and then we've taken a little bit of our glad foliage and folded it, put it here, here, and here, a little over here to give an interesting background. The other flower that's worked in here and here and here are some of our alstroemeria flower. It's a beautiful little flower, comes in a variety of colors as well, and it blends in very, very nicely with the yellow of our glads and works so well with our apple motif. Isn't that pretty? It gives a really, really nice effect. Okay, let's see what else we have in terms of ideas for apples for the teacher. We have a more elaborate design here, and this one, my viewer, if you've watched, we have another video dealing with flowers for the teacher and apples for the teacher. In this particular one, we happen to be using more of our glads, our hot pink glads here, here, and over around here, a hydrangea in the center as our focal area, a couple of roses over here, and we have a little bundle of apples. Hard to see on this from this angle, but we do have a little bundle of apples over on this side, one hanging out here and one placed here as a focal point. And again, our container even has apples worked into it. So notice that we're playing with this concept and this motif of apples for teacher that can be tracked back hundreds of years. We can think in terms of that little kid going to school back in the 1600s or 1700s with that little apple for the teacher, and now go to the 21st century and come up with a whole different set of different things using the same symbolic motif. I think that's really cool. But let's go on and show another idea or two, because we have lots of really cool things to show you here. Here, how about this? Now we're going really, really kinky on this one. What we have in this particular design is a column, a water-based column, with some of our wire collar placed here. We're playing deliberately with the concept of our glads, just to show you how the glads can be used in both a traditional kind of piece and a piece that's not so traditional. And in this particular case, notice that we're playing more on a kind of a horizontal kind of thing, but it's an asymmetrical horizontal because it's going off to one side. So we're playing with that, but we're doing it in an elevated manner. And again, once again, we've got our apple motif built in here. The apples are prominent as a focal area. This would be great if you were having, for example, a party for an educator, somebody who perhaps is enjoying a special event or an occasion or has won an honor and they would like to have something like that. And I could see taking something like this and maybe mixing a second design like this. You've seen this in some of our other videos where we play with that. The pinks on this are a little bit different. This is more of a hot pink. This is more of a salmon. If we were doing something where we'd mix them together, I would probably want to unify the glads on both designs. But to give you an idea how something like this would work very, very well in an event to honor an educator, I think it's a very, very neat idea. And I think that you can definitely have fun with it. What else do we have here? We've got one more design we'd like to share with you for this concept of apples for the teacher. This one I think is a lot of fun, and I think you're really going to enjoy this. Once in a while you find a container that is just unique and kinky, and that's what we found here. We've got a very, very interesting container here. In this particular case, our container has a hole in the middle of it as well as on the top. See where the apple is coming through and where the glads are coming through? There's an actual hole in this container. It's a really cool container. I sometimes love in my free time going out and looking for these bases, and this particular one really caught my eye. And the concept is that we can design on the bottom part of the container, and then we can also do some things up on top. And notice on top, as we go to the focal point in this design, we have our apples here. We have some of our crab apples over on the side. It gives a really, really cool effect. Once again, getting across this concept of apples for the teacher, and then backing away from it, you can see more of our glads placed here, here, here. Some of our Alstroemeria worked here and there, so that it gives us overall a very, very interesting composition. Notice that we go from one extreme to another, my viewer, in our designing. We show you something that is a little more what I would call contemporary, and then we show you some things that are really what I would call more on the fringe, or really a little more on the way out. But that's like how we like to do it here at Rittner's Floral School. Well, my viewer, we've covered an enormous amount of ground in a short period of time. The concept of the apple, traditionally associated with teachers, with knowledge, with education, something that's been around for hundreds of years, taken, rejuvenated, reworked into all kinds of floral art. Floral art that ranges from the small mug that could be given as a gift to teacher or your favorite educator, to novelty type containers, to containers that are more contemporary in feeling. But all of these have the commonality of the apple symbolism worked into them. Our staff here at Rittner's Floral School has been working very, very hard to present this presentation on behalf of all of us here at Rittner's. We want to thank you for watching this videotape. We hope you enjoyed this video and come back to view more in our video series. On behalf of all of us here at Rittner's Floral School, I'm Dr. Steve Rittner. We thank you for coming in and visiting with us today.